Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Jay from Will's VG Addiction here. So I'm going to do a quick video just because I'm already doing this anyway and I haven't uploaded anything in a hot minute. But I've got this orange GameCube. This is obviously a Japanese GameCube. Only plays Japanese games. I'm on lazy mode right now, so I have zero desire to mod this thing with a region switch. All I'm going to do is change it from a Japanese region GameCube to an American region GameCube, so it just plays American discs. If you'd like to see that, see how that's done, stick around. I'm about to do that right now. So I'll be the first to admit that my workstation is quite the mess right now. Got screws and all kinds of shit everywhere because I got a bunch of stuff I'm working on at once, which is never really a good thing, but for some reason I tend to do that anyway. So moving past that, I've already taken the liberty of taking this thing apart for the most part. Got all the screws and extra crap off of here already. I don't think it does a whole lot of good for anybody to see me taking screws out. It's pretty straightforward as far as removing screws. So what you want to do is pop this heat shielding off. I think this is the better side to start it from. So it comes off pretty easy, and you got some thermal pads and shit on there. So I'm going to get underneath the microscope, and then we'll point out where the area of concern is. Here we're going to be looking at this. Let's see if we can zoom in just a little bit before I get on the microscope. Actually, hell, we might not even need to. This camera is pretty good as far as the zoom. I just got it on this dangly thing. I think it's better than trying to mount it on a tripod like I had been doing, but it just shakes constantly. Anyway, this is our area of concern. You'll see how small that is compared to my finger. So I guess we should get underneath the microscope, and then we'll go from there. All right, so first thing that we're gonna do, hopefully this whole picture-in-picture thing works out well. I'm trying new things to make this a little bit easier to see. Again, I know the quality of these videos isn't all that great, and I'm trying to mess with the different settings on this camera to make sure that it comes out clearly. But this is just not the best camera underneath microscope conditions. Anyway, so this little bit of thermal crud right here, it's kind of going over the chip. I'm gonna cut some of that off and remove it and get it out of my way. That's first. So second, we're gonna look at resistor 5 and that open pad for resistor 6. All we're gonna do is move that resistor from R5 to R6. It really is just that simple. I've got some flux on there now. My hot air station is heated up. Let me turn the airflow up to about a 6 out of 8. And we're gonna start blowing from a little bit of a distance. Make sure we're not overheating everything super quickly. Now, one thing I do want to mention is when you're doing this with hot air, be careful not to place the hot air over the chip, because I have on one occasion messed that up and had an issue with the GameCube not playing after that. But you can use an iron for this as well. You just got to use a little bit of skill. Hot air, I think, is a little easier. So we're just going to take this resistor from here. And just move it over there. And we are done, friends. We're done. Wasn't that easy? Let it cool down a little bit. Just gonna clean that flux off with some alcohol and a Q-tip. And honestly, that's all you gotta do to change the region. That is it. Super easy. So the reason I'm doing this and the reason I'm talking about this is because right now GameCubes are ridiculously expensive. Normally I won't screw these back in before I check my work, but I'm sure it's good. Anyway, so for whatever, I guess, you know, it's just that time where kids that grew up with GameCube are they're nostalgic for it, and they got money, and GameCube is in demand. So a cheap way of getting a GameCube, if you don't have one, or if you do have one and you got a little bit of soldering skill and you want to make some extra money, what you can do is you can buy Japanese GameCubes. Do a region mod like this, or add a region switch, which I will I'll put up a video at another time on that. There's plenty of them out there, but for whatever reason in the videos, people always want to solder to the ground pin or the ground pad right next to the resistor, which, I mean, it works, but it's such a small pad that it's really, really difficult to do so. I don't know why they don't just find another ground plane. Like I always use this one right here. It makes it way, way easier. Anyway, GameCubes are super expensive. Japanese GameCubes are still affordable. It's kind of hard right now because of the COVID environment with the shipping. It's kind of difficult. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and swap out that LED. I always do that for, I don't know, my own enjoyment, my own entertainment. So let me grab a blue LED and just put that in its place. Anyway, as I was saying, Japanese GameCubes are currently still pretty affordable, I think. But the shipping usually kills it in the COVID environment because Japan is not doing like normal post shipping. Well, they can do sea shipping, which takes like 3 months. And most people aren't willing to wait that long. I'm certainly not willing to wait that long. But occasionally you can find some pretty good deals on GameCube stuff. Still, from Japan. You just got to be very persistent. So, that's not going to come out, is it? Pull that back so you can see what I'm doing. Just removing the LED. And I'm going to put a blue one in its place. What was I saying? As I was saying, GameCube stuff from Japan, you could still get pretty cheaply. And while I was living in Japan, I swear, no BS, no BS, I was buying Japanese GameCubes, just the console by themselves, for $1 a piece. You don't believe me? I'll pan over to my shelf real quick. I still have a ton of them left. I'm still working through those, through selling those. Yeah, $1 a piece. So even the orange ones were like $3 to $5 loose with no controllers and cords and junk. But nobody cared. This is from 2017 to 2019. Nobody out there cared about GameCube stuff except like the special edition crap, like your Char's custom box and all that. Even the GameCube players, I got a bunch of those. Just the player by itself for $1 a piece. I was getting the discs for, like, on the high side, it was like $15. And I wish I had bought more of that stuff now, but it is what it is. The point is that, you know, if you're in Japan and you see piles of these consoles in the junk section, pick them up. Pretty easy to make usable for the American market and flip. And a lot of people, man, if they're not like collectors and they're just like nostalgic for this crap, they're not really going to care that much. As long as you can show that it works and plays American discs, they're not going to care that it was once a Japanese only GameCube. Usually I sell them for cheaper than the normal American GameCubes go, but like if I paid $1 for the GameCube by itself, right? And I paid, I don't know, let's say, let's go high and say $15, right, for all the cords and crap and the controller. I got like $16 invested in it. If I sell it for like $80 shipped, I'm still making a hell of a profit. So maybe this will help folks out there if they're looking to make a little extra money doing that sort of thing. And if I'm letting out the secrets, the key secrets to being a scumbag reseller in the Japanese region, sorry. But anyway. As I'm doing this, I might as well just keep rambling. Back when I started jumping back into collecting and doing the more hoarder collecting type of stuff, I remember I was living in California at the time. I was living in Southern California, and I remember GameCubes, even back then, were a dime a dozen. I had to stop buying them. I used to get them for like 20 bucks, complete with usually a controller or two. And at that time, there wasn't much of a market for it. And even at that price, I had to stop buying them because I had a bunch. And I still got tons in storage I'm going to get out, hopefully in the next month. We'll just put this together. Enough to test. We will, hell, I won't even put the top on. Let's just walk over to the TV. Let's turn it on. That's what happens when you have zero idea what you're going to do before you do it and you just start talking and recording. All right, so I'm going to plug it in and I'm going to move the camera and we'll look and see how things have gone. All right, here we go. Turn it on. Bam, and there you go, US region GameCube. Simple as that. Took like 5 minutes if I wasn't running my mouth anyway. You got a little bit of soldering skill, got a hot air station or soldering iron, and you want to try it out. Try to get you a lot of like junk GameCube systems. I think the lasers on these are still pretty cheap. I haven't had to use them. I just, honestly, if I got one with a bad laser, I just use it for parts. It's not even worth me really fixing at this point, but. So I hope that teaches somebody something. And if you want to take a gamble on a lot of Japanese GameCube stuff, maybe you just want games or controllers or whatever, and the price is so good you can't pass it up and you get a system in the lot. You want to get rid of the system and find an easy way to do that. Just change the region. Throw that bitch on eBay and you'll still get something comparative to what an American GameCube will fetch you. And again, if you put, I'll do a video on the region switch. That's also like one of the easiest mods you can possibly do. And there's a bunch of them out there already. So that's another way to flip it and maybe get a little more on you. So, all right, I'm out. Thanks for watching. Peace.